Hello, it's 9 p.m. in RTD. It's time to English New Edition for tonight headlines. We have the announcement of the cabinet reshuffle at the presidency. Eight draft laws adopted in the public sessions at the National Assembly. For the international scene, in Democratic Republic of Congo, the city of GOMA exploded after the lava flow from the NYIRAGONGO volcano. Welcome to our newsroom. After the re-election of the President of the Republic, His Excellency Ismail Omar Guelleh, and placed today to the ministerial reshuffle to form a new government, and let us listen all together now the Secretary General, the acting Secretary General of the government, Mr. Sadek.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Vu la Constitution, notamment son article 40, le Président de la République, chef de gouvernement, M. Ismail Omar Guelleh, a signé ce jour le décret portant nomination du Premier ministre et des membres du gouvernement.
The President of the Republic, Head of Government, Mr. Ismail Omar Guelleh, has signed today the decree appointing the Prime Minister and the members of the government. I have the great honor to announce the composition of the new government team. Prime Minister Abdelkader Kamil Mohamed. Minister of Justice and Prison Affairs in charge of Human Rights, Ali Hassan Bahdon. Minister of Economy and Finance in charge of Industry, Mr. Ilyas Musa Dawali. Minister of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation, Government Spokesman, Mr. Mahmoud Ali Yusuf. Minister of Defense in charge of Relations with the Parliament, Mr. Hassan Umar Burhan. Minister of the Interior, Mr. Saeed Nur Hassan. Minister of Budget, Abdul Karim Adan Sher. Minister of Health, Dr. Ahmed Roble. Minister of National Education and Vocational Training, Mr. Mustafa Muhammad Mahmoud. Minister of Higher Education and Research, Dr. Nabil Muhammad Ahmed. Minister of Women and Family, Mrs. Muna Usman Adan. Minister of Agriculture, Water, Fisheries, Animal and Fisher Resources, Muhammad Ahmed Awale. Minister of Infrastructure and Equipment, Mr. Hassan Muhammad Ibrahim. Minister of Muslim Affairs and Waqf, Mr. Mu'min Hassan Bari. Minister of Social Affairs and Solidarity, Mrs. Olofa Ismail Abdu. Minister of Energy and Natural Resources, Mr. Yunus Ali Gedi. Minister of Labor in charge of Formalization and Social Protection, Mr. Isman Ibrahim Roble. Minister of Environment and Sustainable Development, Mr. Muhammad Abdul Qadir Musa Halim. Minister of the City, Urbanism and Housing, Mrs. Amina Abdi Adam. Minister of Communication in charge of Posts and Telecommunications, Mr. Radwan Abdullahi Bahdon. Minister of Trade and Tourism, Mr. Muhammad Warsa Maderi. Minister of Youth and Culture, Mrs. Hibu Mu'min Asobe. Minister Delegate in charge of Decentralization, Mr. Qasim Harun Ali. Minister Delegate in charge of Digital Economy and Innovation, Mrs. Maryam Hamadou Ali. Secretary of State in charge of Investment and Private Sector Development, Mrs. Safiya Muhammad Ali Gadale. Secretary of State in charge of Sports, Mr. Hassan Muhammad Kamil. This decree is immediately enforceable before publication in the official Gazette of the Republic of Djibouti. I thank you.
The new member of the government composed seven new member concerning Dr. Hibo Mumin Asowe, Ms. Ulufa Ismail Abdo, and Ms. Mariam Hamadou Ali, Khadija Muhammad Ali Gadile, Safiya Muhammad Ali Gadile, Saeed Nuh Hassan as Minister of Interior, and Qasim Harun as Minister of Decentralization, Dr. Ahmed Abdille as Minister of Health, under the leadership of the President of the National Assembly, Mohamed Ali HOUMED, and with the participation of Prime Minister Abdelkader Kamil Mohamed, ministers, and all parliamentarians. The National Assembly held on Monday, 24 May, its second public session of the Parliament, its first ordinary session of the year 2021. The agenda included the examinations of the following 8 norms: the law adopting the 2018 financial account of Djibouti International Airport, law adopting the 2017 financial account of the National Agency for State Information System, adopting the financial account of the National Agency for State Information System, law ratifying the supplementary agreement of the restructuring of the loan relating to the constructions of the new line of the Djibouti-Ethiopia Railway, law ratifying the financing agreement for the project to strengthen the economic resilience of vulnerable enterprises in the Republic of Djibouti, law to amend the framework agreement of the International Solar Alliance, law ratifying the financing agreement for the Dameljog Power Plant grid extension's first phase, law on the creations of public establishment called Radio Television of Djibouti, first a duty of remembrance and expressions of tribute were made on behalf of the audience, government, and parliamentarian together, and in his own name by the Speaker Mohamed Ali HOUMED for the late Member of Parliament Ali Sheikh Burhan, President of the Fruit Group, on the bench of the hemicycle. For his part, in a speech, the President of the National Assembly, Mohamed Ali HOUMED, said in his speech, I welcome you all to the second public sitting of the year 2021, which the National Assembly is holding this Monday, 24 May, after a long period during which COVID-19 enjoyed a resurgence at the national levels. In this recent unfortunate period, we have lost many of our compatriots, some of whom have served the people as legislators. Recently, the National Assembly lost our late colleague, the chairman of the Fruit Parliamentarian Group, the Honorable Ali Sheikh Burhan, who always carried out his duty with passion and conviction. We pray to Allah Azza wa Jal to accept him into his eternal paradise, and ask you to observe a minute of silence in this memory, to read the Fatiha. On another level, we cannot pass over in silence the drama that the home of one of the holy places of Islam, Al-Quds, is currently experiencing. I therefore take the opportunity of this plenary to reiterate the denunciations of the abject crimes that Israel continues to perpetrate with cowardice and impunity against the Palestinian people. It is a real genocide. We call for the implementation of the Arab League's position, a resolution in favor of the right of our Palestinian brothers and sisters to enjoy their state in peace and dignity. This outcome must be achieved today more than yesterday by a unanimous reactions of the humanity to say stop Israel, as well as the determinations of the international community to support the compromise of two peoples, of two states, whose non-respect would be sanctioned by real sanctions imposed by the United Nations. I implore God, before I die, to see an independent state of Palestine with East Jerusalem as its capital, inshallah. The parliamentarian asked the member of the government on the substances of the discussion. The main theme raised during the debate, impregnating the analysis of their agenda, concerning the financial health of the para-public sector and the obligation of accountability of public institutions and companies, the challenges posed and the achievement observed in the field of telecommunication, audiovisual, energy, transport, infrastructure, free entrepreneurship, the prioritization of national human resources, licenses and approvals of private broadcasters, the member of the government responded to the questions of the parliamentarian. The Minister of Health, Mohamed Warsama Diriye, and the Ambassador to Saudi Arabia chaired an important working meeting with the delegations of the technical team of the Saudi Development Fund in the framework of the new project of rehabilitation and extensions of the General Peltier Hospital. This major rehabilitation project of the country's main hospital will be financed by the Saudi Development Fund for an amount of 4,613,000,000 Djibouti francs. During the meeting, discussions focused mainly on the technical aspects and the contour of this rehabilitation project carried by the Saudi Development Fund, and which aims at modernizing the General Peltier Hospital. It is worth noting the presence of the special advisor to the President of the Republic in charge of Arab investment, Mr. Fahmi Al-Hag, who took part in this meeting. The Minister of Health took the opportunity to salute the fraternal and solid relations that prevails between the Republic of Djibouti and Saudi Arabia. The Minister of Defense in charge of relations with Parliament, Hassan Omar Mohammed Burhan, proceeded this Monday, May 24, at Camp Sheikh Osman to the award ceremony of the women's football team of the national forces. Indeed, on Friday 22, the final of the National Women's Football Camp Championship took place at the Guled Stadium, pitting the Republican Guard teams against the Army's Forces team. The final was won by the Republican Guard team with a score of 2-1. Having come second, this breakfast was organized in their honor to boost their morale. On his arrival at the Camp Sheikh Osman, the Minister of Defense in charge of relations with Parliament, Hassan Omar Mohammed, was welcomed by the Chief of the General Staff of the Armed Forces, General Zakaria Sheikh Ibrahim. Together, they reviewed with the troops, which included a section of female staff to do the honors, followed by the female football team. The ceremony was also attended by General Tahir Ali Mohammed, Chief of the Defense Staff, and a small delegation of senior officers from General Staff of the Armed Forces. Once the review was completed, His Excellency Hassan Omar Mohammed, the Minister of Defense in charge of relations with Parliament, accompanied by General Zakaria Sheikh Ibrahim, proceeded to the presentations of the awards. The award took the form of financial reward and promotion to the higher rank. This was followed by a hearty breakfast in honor of the women's football team to boost their morale. The Harvey troop did not fail to liven up this hearty breakfast, which folk sang and dances. In his speech, the Chief of the Defense Staff congratulated and encouraged the women's football team. He reminded them on their glorious passes of 6 previous seasons at the top of the National Women's Football Championship. General Zakaria Sheikh Ibrahim urged them to continue in these directions and not to let despair take over on the sidelines. General Zakaria Sheikh Ibrahim congratulated the Republican Guard team, brothers in arms of the armed Djiboutian forces, and let us. The Ministry in charge of decentralization officially launches the work of elaborating regional development plans for the period 2021-2025. The conference rooms of the Regional Council of Arta hosted yesterday, Sunday, 23 May, the official launching ceremony by the State Secretary in charge of decentralization of the preparation of development plans for the period 2021-2025. The event was placed under the high patronage of Minister Hamidou Mohamed Aramis. In addition to the officials and senior staff of the said ministries, the team of the Expertise France, the implementing agency of the support program for decentralization and local initiatives, The general secretaries of the regional council, the member of the executive, and the local elected officials of the regional council of Arta, the host of the event, the member of its regional development coordination committee, the officials of the deconcentrated services, as well as the civil society of this region took part. Objective was to initiate the elaboration of the new regional development plans, given that the previous ones expired at the end of last year. For his part, the Secretary General of the Ministry in charge of decentralization, Mohamed FARADJ, gave an opening speech at the official luncheons in this ceremony. For the international scene in Democratic Republic of Congo, some 11,500 graduate students at the national education now taking the end of the cycle 2 certification evaluation, more commonly known as OTE, 5th grade, in some 70 examination centers throughout the country. On this occasion, the Secretary General of the Ministry of Menfob, Mohamed Abdallah Mahyoub, carried out an inspection and supervision tour in several examination centers in the capital. The Secretary General was accompanied by his close collaborators, by the Director General of Education, Mr. Abdi Dirir, and various executives of the officials of the department. The delegation successively visited schools in the 3 municipalities of the capital. At each stage of his visit, the Secretary General had long discussion with the pedagogical manager and the heads of the center to ascertain the smooth running of the tests. He took note of the perfectly oiled material organizations and the effective presence of all the personnel deployed in the examination center in the accordance with the organizations of this examination. Finally, it should be noted that the correction of the paper and the recording of masks will begin tomorrow and will lead to the announcement of the result on 10 June 2021. For the international scene, a lava flow from the eruptions of the Mount NYIRAGONGO stopped a few hundred meters from the city limit of GOMA in Eastern Democratic Republic of Congo on Sunday morning. The volcano's eruptions caused panic and prompted several thousand people to flee to the border with Rwanda. The provisional toll is 15 people killed while fleeing the eruption, 9 in a traffic accident, and 4 in the central prisons of Munzenze, from which they were trying to escape, and 2 burned, according to a local military spokesman. A dozen small earthquakes have also been felt since dawn. UNICEF, United Nations Children Fund, said that 150 children were separated from their families during the evacuations of Goma. The UN agency fears that more than 170 others are missing. This is it for the news. Thanks for watching us. Have a good evening.